Welcome to Behind the Law with the Ameli Law Group.
Hello and welcome back to Behind the Law with Ameli Law Group with Chantelle and Mark Ameli of the Ameli Law Group in Los Angeles. They handle complex personal injury, business, and contract cases and prepare every case like it's going to trial. I'm Chelsea, and today we're talking about why being honest with your lawyer can make or break your case. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Hey, let's dive into this topic. What are some of the most common things that clients leave out when they first tell you what happened?
Most of the time, they will talk a lot about what the other people did, but not a lot about what they did. So we know everything that the other people did wrong, but there are certain details about our side of the story that we don't always find out until later on. It tends to be things that they think are improper or things that they're embarrassed about, but it will all come out. So it's always better to just lay it out for us so that we can deal with what is right and what is wrong and prepare the story together. Don't you think?
Well, it is. It's always good for us to know everything, the good and the bad. And usually clients leave out the bad. They've had a criminal conviction. They don't tell us about it. And that comes to bite them. They have had, yesterday, I had a case that went to deposition. At the deposition, I found out that my client has had 5 accidents within the last 2 years, 5 vehicular accidents within the last 2 years. And he hadn't told me about them.
And here's the thing. That's okay that he had 5 prior accidents. We just need to know, because if we find out off the cuff, we are not prepared to defend it. So it's always scary and shocking when all of a sudden new information comes into play, particularly when the question is posed in a deposition to our client and we're like, oh no, what is he going to say? That's always a terrible place to be. So if we know, then we can prepare our clients for when that question is posed because we're expecting it.
Yeah. So these two are one of the two things that we usually get hurt by. Our clients usually get hurt by most often not telling us what has happened in the past. And that's a problematic part of the information, lack of information by us.
How does even a small inconsistency affect the way a case is viewed by the other side?
Well,
Well, what I was going to say is, I mean, it's never just a small inconsistency. Like if we find a small inconsistency, it becomes super dramatic and a huge cover up and they're big liars and this is a huge problem. No one should believe anything they say. So that's the repercussion. If we know, we can address it, brush it under the rug and move on. But if all of a sudden this little tiny thing that doesn't probably really even matter, it will get blown way out of proportion and will overtake the entire thing in the first place.
Small inconsistency, an accident that happened 3 years ago, and the client hurt the same part of the body that was involved in this accident. Now, if they don't tell us and it comes out at the deposition or even worse, at trial, then he's a liar. Number one, he's a liar. Forget about the effect of that. And number two, everything that he's saying now is because of that accident that happened 2 or 3 years ago. Whereas if we had known about it and the client had gone to take care of this problem, gone to a doctor, received treatment, and was well after the treatment was completed. If that's the case, then there's no problem. We can just explain to the judge or the jury that that was the case. Yes, he had an accident. So what?
So what? That's the thing, is the clients won't know when it's so what, but we will. So if we know, then we can take care of it. And then the other part of it is, if it's one mistake, let's say, and that comes out, it becomes a lie. It's just never a mistake. The other side is never going to be like, oh, I'm sure they just forgot. It's going to be a lie. And a lot of the next things that they're going to say that are actually, in fact, complete and full facts, they're not going to believe those either.
This is a fun question. What role does social media play when it comes to credibility in a case?
You know that.
I mean, so social media is difficult because when you're looking at any social media account, you see all of the fun of someone's life, right? You see all of the terrible of someone's life, but it's never really the actual truth. But when another attorney is looking at that, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. What they're going to take is whatever they need to show that your client is not injured, to show that your client is lying about where they were at the time of an incident, to just show that they are not being truthful and are not deserving of the money that we say that they are deserving. We were talking earlier about a client that we had who was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and she was hurt really badly. Her injuries were to her neck and her back primarily. She was also, after the actual accident happened, the person who came out of the car came up to her and punched her in the face. So she also had facial injuries, and it was super dramatic. And as we're getting to the end of this case, we're about to go to an arbitration, and the other side pulls up all of her social media files for the last however many years. And this client was a DJ and a promoter. And so part of her job is to show her on social media going out and having fun and partying and dancing and traveling. And she wasn't in fact doing any of those things, but her social media has to show that because that's her job. That's how she gets paid. So what we were able to show in the end is that those photos were old photos that were recycled during the period that she was not able to actually work and travel. So social media, it's tough. And I know a lot of times we ask our clients, please do not post on social media while you are doing this case. You know, I just thought of also the other client that we had that, again, he was injured in a car accident. And there were videos of him lifting weights on social media. And we were like, what is happening here? Like, do you have to put that online? Are you actually not hurt? Like, it brings up a lot of questions even for us when we're presented with the evidence of like, what is going on? So the best advice is just to leave social media alone for just a moment. Maybe take pictures of other things and put it on, and just leave yourself out of it, because everything is going to be scrutinized to a totally different level than is what is normal.
But also in that case that she was talking about, going to trial and trying to prove that that photograph or video that was from way before, that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort,
Resources.
and cost, because we have to have an expert to come and testify that, in fact, she can say, yeah, it was from before, but she is the plaintiff in the case, so it's going to be difficult for the judge to believe. So we have to have an expert to come and say that, yes, this video was taken 2 years ago and now put on the social media, and that costs money again. That's why trials are expensive. Arbitrations are expensive.
What does attorney client privilege actually protect, and what do people misunderstand about it?
Well, attorney-client privilege protects the conversations between the plaintiff and the client. And so they cannot ask me what my client has told me. And that's what's protected. But it does not protect what they can discover outside of my presence. So the social media is available to everybody. And they can go online and discover a lot of things. But they cannot ask me any question about, did she talk to you about the social media? Did she tell you that she was dancing on social media? Those are privileged information, so they cannot ask me. And what people misunderstand is that they can put this on social media and then come and tell me that they have put it on social media and they're protected. And that is the problem. They are not protected. And that happens not often, but sometimes people make that mistake.
When a client is trying to present their situation in the best light, what do they not realize that they're risking by doing that?
I mean, sort of everything. Everything is put at risk because we don't know the whole story. When information pops up later, we have to go back. We have to come back to our client and say, this is what we have found out. Is it true? Is it not true? And then there's doubt, even with us, let alone whoever else is going to be evaluating from the other side. So when we're asking, if we get the real information, we have to go back and reanalyze everything and figure out, is our position the same, or do we have to make an adjustment now? And any adjustments seem like a weakness in our case, right? So we have to go forward strong. And if we have to go back and come back at it again, more often than not, we're coming from a weaker position. Not always, but more often than not.
And that's something that actually Chantelle and I do because we are advocates for our clients. And sometimes we see things in a best light for our client. But if I see it in the best light for my client and Chantelle decides that, there's something missing here. So she and I will start arguing and discussing the facts of the case as to, is there anything that we are missing? Is there anything that's wrong with this case? And so there are a lot of times that we actually have, in the last session, I talked about the fact that we keep on fighting, but different fight. And these are the different fights that we have that regarding the case. So one of us would be a devil's advocate. And
or one of us will just not understand why someone else would want to even accept the case.
That's
because it's so clearly not that it is this person's fault. And we have for sure had this argument over one particular trucking case that I remember that I was absolutely anti and was wondering why we are even thinking about taking this case. It's so clearly our client's fault. And then at the end of the day, we ended up getting this guy a lot of money. So we fought it out and we fought it out and we fought it out. And then we were able to find all of the little details and the little things that were missing, really. And in doing that, we were able to really stand up for our client in a big, big way. That was great.
This was actually a case where our truck, the truck that was our client, rear-ended another truck. And And Chantelle told me, why are you taking this case?
Yeah.
This is obviously our client's fault. And no, we went through it, and we discovered, actually discovered additional things that even our client didn't know.
Right.
And that caused us not only to win this case, but to win it big.
Big. Yeah. It was such a great outcome, and our client was so happy. It made me so happy. That was great.
Well, thank you both. This was another great topic. A lot of good stories in there. And that wraps up our second episode of Behind the Law with the Ameli Law Group with Chantelle and Mark Ameli. If you're dealing with a serious legal issue and want a team that prepares every case with a trial mindset, you can learn more at ameligroup.com. And if you found this helpful, be sure to like, leave a review, and subscribe to the show so you don't miss the next episode. Thank you both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.